And in a moment, these beautiful cars will roar into action for your delicacy. Off comes the pace car. And our Group 5, 7, and 9 and Group 11 are away. Off goes the Panos. And that IMSA all bright orange car, number 70, with David Jans at the wheel, flying along in second place. And the Panos, obviously, with the slicks and wings, getting plenty of grip through the S's. He can deal with that, no problem. I was talking to Boris Said, who was talking about taking a Formula One car around this track, and he said it was awesome. It just stuck to the track like glue. And that is James Farley, actually, the man I was mentioning before, in that Lola T98. And interestingly enough, when he is with the Ford Motor Company, well, I can tell you it's got a Cosworth engine, so he's making sure he's doing it right. So Lewis Cooper Jr. leads the way in this 20-minute race. James Farley in second at the moment, David Jans in third, Gary Gould in fourth place, Brent Knoll fifth, and Dave Handy in the 59 as they stream down the back straight. And a glorious sight from the drone. Really does give you a sense of the speed that they're going. Here comes Danny Sullivan's car. Gary Gould at the wheel of what's called a Frisbee GP2. Gary's come all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma to give it a run out this afternoon. First lap by Lewis Cooper Jr., a 1:24.9, and that's pretty impressive. Our Trans Am guys in the 21s and 22s, so that Panos is not holding back by any means. Just a great sound. I love the historic sound of these cars. I don't think there's anybody who went to a racetrack as a little boy and heard that scream and didn't think, ooh, what's happening here then? Let's get amongst this. Now, yesterday, Gary finished, fifth place behind David Jans, so he seemed to improve with the Frisbee. Looks like a massively wide car, but it's deceptive. It's almost a single-seater. And of course, Can-Am cars were the big things of the late 70s. Hello. And I've just paused for a second because obviously we've got a car, David Jans, off again. The yellow flag is out, but I'm delighted to say that Dustin Hodges, who joined me yesterday, is back.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, of course.
Just ran right over here from the TA podium.
Good man. What's happening out here? We talked. Was it this group we talked about yesterday? There's been so many groups.
Yes, it is. That's
okay,
why
good.
I decided to come back
good,
up.
Good.
There was one thing yesterday that I wanted to mention to you. As soon as I walked out the door, it popped into my head. Of course. The Panos out front.
Yes.
That's an Indy car.
Oh.
That is
a genuine Indy car.
2007-ish Champ car.
Because I was
before the unification.
Right.
So that was Sebastian Bourdais, Alex Tagliani.
Gotcha.
All those guys were racing that car about 15 years ago, I guess.
Well, it's no wonder it's going. I was just, as you came in, I was just mentioning that. He's gone even faster. Lewis Cooper Jr. just did a 1:18.1, and when our Trans Am guys are doing 1:20s, 1:21s. He's not holding back. And now it's got all the bits and bobs that when it goes through the S's, it should stick to the floor like glue. But
a lot of downforce.
A lot of downforce. But okay, so somebody like Bourdais would have driven that car, yeah?
And it was in my head, like I said, right on the tip of my tongue. And of course, I remember when I leave. But
well, let's talk about the technology involved in these cars. I mean, like I said, I've just been saying that this is an revolution of our history here. And how the technology progressed. And like you say, you've got cars here that, go from late 60s all the way through to 2007. So you really have got a sort of a smorgasbord of the history of racing. What era, if you like, or what innovation appeals to you and sort of says to you, wow, that's clever?
Well, there's a lot of stuff over the years that was banned that I think is the stuff
Right.
that I find
Which
the
is
most
a shame.
clever. You know, the six-wheel Tyrrell.
Yeah, I remember that.
The F-duct in F1 where they would cover their hand over a hole in the car to help it go fast. Like, there's all these crazy things that have happened over the years, but I think one of the biggest jumps that I find amazing is when they went from the tube frame cars, which to the carbon monocoque, which, like the two front-running cars, that Panos and the F3 car, that just create a much safer cocoon for the driver to live in.
Now, before we go any further, Dustin, let's just talk about what you've been doing. You've been working with Silver Hair Racing. Congratulations. It's been not the best of weekends. You wanted to win the championship, but it's been a good weekend.
You know, for the first year of this team, we took home second in TA2, second in Masters, and second in the Southern Cup. So
that's not bad.
It's, you know, you got to look at the bright side of everything, and you can't win every day. And we took home 3 titles in 2020, and 2021 is only 2 months away. So.
And what do you do with the team?
I do all their marketing and media. I make them look good. It's what I like to tell people. So.
Talking of looking good, Ben Sissel's managed to come in. Yeah, you might have to swap a seat. He's not in any rush. He's talked out. He never does anything but talk.
Is that the guys wearing a tuxedo?
I don't know if the tuxedo car is out there. Ben Sissel's just walked in with no microphone, so nobody knows what he's talking about. But
yeah, the tuxedo car is out there, and is that why he has a tuxedo? Because he got married this weekend?
He got married.
Here. Wow. Well, congratulations.
Okay. Get your microphone on. Ben doesn't need a mic, so he doesn't use one.
We live
it's
about
like
2
me,
miles
really.
from each other.
We're cheap, Ben. That's why.
And
so go on, tell the story.
Well, he actually wrote me a sheet that I brought up here.
Let's get you on. This is Ben Sissel.
The tuxedo car, Brent and Kylan Knoll were married on the start-finish line here at Road Atlanta on 4/1/2017. Oh, but we have a restart.
Good.
So we're going to come back to the tuxedo store. We look at Jim Farley holding off the Danny Sullivan Frisbee Can-Am car up into the hill.
Well, I was told this morning that Danny Sullivan was actually informed that his car was out racing yesterday, and he was delighted. He said, "Oh, I've got great fond memories of that car." Can-Am.
Yes, yesterday I was, as I mentioned, I referred to the Can-Am cars as older cars.
Yeah.
And I was lit up on social media. Apparently,
yeah, you got to be careful stepping in here.
You know, the thing is, my father is almost 80 years old, and he raced those in his 20s.
There it is. There's the tuxedo with Dave Handy right behind him.
There you go.
Brent Knoll.
Right, tell your story, Ben.
And he's got a tuxedo racing suit. Well, he's wearing the tux because he got married here, but his car is also wearing a tux. He watched our live stream. He had a little bit of a hit with somebody, and I said his tuxedo got torn, and he told me that was true. It did get torn a little bit, but he's repaired it. But yeah, you're right. So Can-Am, was a series in the 60s and 70s, the Monsters, but then it came back for the 2-liter Can-Am cars,
yes.
And it's had lots of iterations.
It's definitely very fun. Everybody likes that branding.
Yeah. But see, I love the internet trolls that kind of correct us or tell us what we're doing wrong. It just makes it more colorful. I love it. So keep trolling away, people. Leave us comments as nasty as you want on our Facebook and social media channels.
I was just mentioning a minute ago.
I'm not here. I don't want trolls.
Were you aware that this is an actual Indy car?
No.
It's a Champ car.
2007, 2008, before the reunification.
Really?
That is a Champ car. So yeah, we have an actual Indy car out here going 7 seconds faster than TA cars?
He's just laying on the push to pass.
Yeah. I hit no push to pass back then. It was a 118.5 he just did.
So that's Dave Handy right there in the Sasco Orange S2000, one of our fastest drivers in anything. I was really wishing for him in the Formula B race that we had at Circuit of the Americas with the Brabhams and Tonus. And then that's Brent Knoll. Look at
that is pretty.
Bond in that tuxedo. And he's actually 2 miles away from me in Nashville, and he told me that he has starred, and this is not an untruth. This is not a tall tale from Ben Sissel.
This is not fake news.
This is not fake news. He has starred in over 100 musicals, and Godspell was his favorite. He's been Jesus Christ several times. So we've got a musical tuxedo driver out there.
Wow.
You just don't know what's going on in those Tennessee woods back there, do you?
You don't know. But
so I was just about to ask this, and I see in your notes that he also has a matching tuxedo driving suit.
Yes, and he got married in it.
That is
Nothing
impressive.
says romance like getting married in a driver's suit. I love it,
Can
Brent.
I just say
like
that that's
style.
probably the perfect wife?
Yes.
Or the most patient.
That would probably be a better explanation.
I hope she's a racing fan.
There's another Tennessee in there, Gary Johnson, in his almost Tennessee orangish red S2000. Gary's a mechanic. He has a shop in Knoxville, Tennessee for a lot of our drivers, so it's good to see him out here actually getting to be the driver.
Pretty emotional Trans Am. Chris Dyson, I heard a little well up as he was talking to you. A lot of emotion down there today, but it's the end of the year. It's been a very tough year for everybody. I was talking about John Claggett. It was nice to hear from him. You know, it's not an easy year for anybody.
It hasn't been, and they've done such a great job. John Claggett and Tony Perella doing the best they can. I speak to Tony Perella quite a bit. He's done so much behind the scenes to just get us races. You know, after Sebring, we had such a great start at Sebring and Auto Club Speedway, and then it all just fell away. And Tony did not give up, and he worked so hard. We put together that E-Series championship with Trans Am, and we were able to get some great races in. We still were able to hit some of the premier tracks.
Dustin, what's happening with Silver Hair? Any plans for the future you can share with us?
2021's only 2 months away. I think the
yeah,
plan
that's a
is
good point.
I mean, literally, we've got Sebring and Homestead 8 weeks from now. So, no, I think they're same plan as this year. They've got Rafa Matos lined up, Maurice Hall. Like I said, they just took home second in 3 championships, and they're geared up to go for all 3 titles next year. I think that's the plan, and I think that's what they're rolling for.
Now, listen, I don't know how you look for your drivers, but both Ben and I, are sporting the Silver Hair. Do we?
We have a 3rd car in the hauler. You guys should have said something yesterday.
Well, okay. I mean that does
get a
qualify
really
me, at
fast
least.
Ford Mustang just sitting in there waiting for a driver.
Oh, man, a Ford Mustang.
You know, it's
what year is it?
You
don't know.
2020.
Oh my word! No, that's way too fast for me.
Well, now speaking of Ford Mustang, there goes Danny Sullivan in, but that's not a Ford Mustang. But Jim Farley is out there, the CEO of the Ford Motor Company.
Yeah, I know.
Is out there racing a Lola right now. And Ford has been on the podium quite a bit this weekend in SVRA and Trans Am.
Yes, they have.
He needs to come to more races, though.
Yeah.
They keep picking it up. He's the good luck charm.
We had
apparently.
a Ford on top in TA, and a Ford on top in TA2, and a Ford on top in GT.
Wow.
That's a good point. Yep.
And that's an Indy car.
That is a
Champ
Panos
car,
Champ
Indy
car. Yes, that's one of the fastest Indy cars ever made.
Yeah, isn't that funny how sometimes they've now restricted cars that they're not running the same lap times they did 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, they seem to get faster even though they're technically slower.
But if you've ever been to the Indy 500 during qualifying week, you can understand why eventually Arie Luyendyk's lap record might have been beaten, but my word, it was getting to the point where these cars were just flying.
That's Rafa Matos told me that they actually run negative rear wing in qualifying.
Wow.
So
just to keep them down.
Think about that for a minute.
Yeah. Just think about that for a second.
That is a pretty car, though.
It is definitely a pretty car.
It was great. We had, you'll enjoy this, Dustin. We had a rather shy onboard with one of the drivers in TA. Can you imagine who it would be that we talked to on the warm-up lap? He was very reticent to talk. Tommy Dreesy.
Okay, I was trying to figure out if this was a sarcastic question or not here. I'm thinking,
no, we had that
English accent.
It was an amazing feat, and he's like, "Well, hi everybody," and it was great.
I really like the lines of this Lewis Cooper Jr. racing that Champ car. It looks like it's just stuck to the ground like a slot car. Is that all the downforce in these cars, Dustin?
Oh yes, an IndyCar weighs somewhere, depending on the years, roughly a little under 2,000 pounds. But when they get on those big ovals, the amount of downforce that pushes on them, they can weigh 3 to 4 times that. The amount of downforce. There's this old saying that they could run upside down in a tunnel if they were going fast enough.
Now these are 2 really good friends here, Steve Conson and Gary Johnson, racing together. Now they've raced together in all kinds of MGs. But now here they are in S2000s, also pretty equally yoked. Steve Conson has probably one of my favorite, prettiest MGs that I've ever seen. It's MG T-Series. He raced it with us at Watkins Glen. It's unbelievable, but he's had some MGAs.
Tell me more about the S2000.
S2000, really, this class here, the was started as a racer's race class. They're pretty spec. There's different manufacturers, but then the beauty of it is it's a a Hewland like VW transmission that you can get from lots of cars. They were widely available.
Looks like a forerunner to the Radical.
And a Ford Pinto 2-liter engine
that
were all over junkyards at the time. And they're really easy to come by, but they have a lot of torque, and they're really easy to work on and make reliable. And so that's what it is.
So
it's a driver's
affordable
class.
Racing then, that's what.
It was affordable racing, but because this is such a fun class, these cars are available, but they're, it depends on who you are. If they're affordable, because it's so much fun, there's a demand for these cars still.
Right.
And so they range probably $30,000 to $50,000 for a good turnkey. That would be probably more than that because that's a top-notch, well-prepared. Dave Sasko is an unbelievable mechanic. He's got a great shop just outside of VIR, but that's a very fast car with one of our most talented drivers of the weekend out here. And I got to brag on his wife, Robin. As a vintage racing journalist myself, if I can call myself that, she is the best. She takes the best photos, best stories. And then there's Jim Farley. Look at how pretty this car is. And
so is this his first weekend with us?
No, he's been with us a long time. He
Okay.
loves racing, and this is his vacation. He was on the podium. He won the Enduro overall. He won his class, and he loves being able to get away. And this is so you know that he's a true motorsports automotive fan when he's worked probably a really long week. Can't imagine the stress that he's under. And this is how he gets away from it all. He's racing a Le Mans Cobra, a 1966 Cobra, I believe, in the Le Mans finish. And now he's out here in a Lola, and there's a lot of G-forces in that car. So my hat's off to him, and he's having it. 18-year-old, he's having so much fun out here racing.
Well, I can tell you these S2000 cars are definitely a great place to go racing, and if anybody wants to get involved, they are fun. I can personally attest to this. I drove one of these at Mid-Ohio years ago when they had a semi-pro series going on, and it is a lot of fun.
Oh, we got an off.
Uh-oh.
I think that's Brent. Yeah.
Tuxedo getting dirty.
Tuxedo's going to have to go to the dry cleaners, Brent. Brent Knoll off.
Oh, dear. Well, he's okay.
Yeah, he's okay. That's a beautiful car. Now, that's the oldest car in the field. He wanted to point that out. And he is going to give us in-car after the weekend. He promised me that, so we'll be able to know what happened. We'll have to edit that in. If you follow us on social media.
You're going to have to hold him to that one.
We'll have that up in a few
you
weeks.
might not get that now. Well, here's Lewis Cooper Jr. again, and let's have a look. Look, he's got it down at 113.8.
Wow.
He's just up in the pace. He's not letting go. I love it. I was saying earlier, boys, it's not really a race against each other. It's a race against yourself. You want to see what lap times you can do and how you can learn these iconic circuits. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Looks like he's stuck there. Doesn't be able to get that refired. I guess we're
we're going to
hold off a little bit again, huh?
He's not trying too hard to get it restarted. I think he's stuck there.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. It's really fun to watch. The more cars on track, the better, and he might be in a place that they're showing a local yellow right now.
I see
and,
the pace car's rolling out of pit lane right now.
Yeah, well, no, yes, he is. Yeah,
so that's Lewis Cooper Jr.
And by the way, he has done 12 laps to Farley's 6. So that's how much quicker he's going. He's getting his money's worth.
Yes.
Sure.
So out comes the pace car.
Again, in these open class races, I have a 27 Model T and 35 miles an hour in that. Just feels like, it's super scary.
Yeah, you can keep
as
that to
compared
yourself.
to like a 150 miles an hour in a new Corvette.
Yeah.
It probably feels about the same level of adrenaline. So even though Lewis Cooper Jr. is pulling the laps, Jim Farley might have a little bit more of his hands full, and that older Lola doesn't have all the great controls and as much downforce. But look at those two cars together. Shot.
It's one of the things that I noticed over the years when you take people that don't have a lot of on-track experience, and they drive to the track, they're going down the highway at 90 miles an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
But then they get here and their first few laps, it's very timid and intimidating.
Yeah,
it's a completely different comfort zone. The sensation of speed is different, which I think a lot of people don't fully understand.
Well, and when people say why, and the reason is it's how close you are to the ground.
Yep.
A go-kart could be doing 30 miles an hour, but it feels like 80.
That's right.
So we're looking at our Group 9 first place there in that Indy car of Lewis Cooper Jr. and our Group 7 first place in Jim Farley. Our Group 5 first place is Dave Handy in that Sasco orange and white S2000. So our 3 class leaders are 1, 2, 3 overall in this.
So we're under safety here in our Group 5, 7, 9, and 11 class, and
I think time just ran out on
yeah, I
them.
think it pretty much has done, but never mind. They've had a good run. What are you looking forward to, Ben? I know you're always looking for one. You unfortunately
Well, I was on
missed
the
your
Trans
1, 2,
Am
3, 4
podium
group.
for my favorite group.
We had some fun.
You know, I always say I love all cars. It really doesn't matter. I love it. You know, but
you could probably.
so I missed out on all my small bore British cars. But you know, it's fine. I still love all this
They might
racing.
give you a peership for that kind of comment because nobody talks that
Yeah. No,
glowingly about British.
I mean, they're getting ready to
cars.
knight Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah,
The honors. You might
you
want to
know,
get in line, Ben.
Yeah.
You could stand next to him and talk cars.
I'm not sure he's an MG fan.
I don't know. His brother's in touring cars. Somebody was telling me that Lewis has driven a Radical before now. So there you go.
Wow.
So Jim Farley will win Group 7. Lewis Cooper Jr. will win Group 9, and Dave Handy will win Group 5.
And there is the checkered flag.
There's Dave Handy in his Group 5 Sasco S2000.
Beautiful car.
He is a great driver.
Coming up a little later, we'll get a chance to see Boris Said Jr., the 16-year-old, cutting his teeth in the Miata Heritage Cup. He's not the only one out there, but he's been our feature this weekend, for sure. Coming across the line now is the Shannon number 2.
How many father-son combinations are in these weekends? It seems like it happens a lot.
Well,
quite a bit. I just interviewed the Morrows in that beautiful, they're going to be, actually I see them on grid right now. They're in that Penske livery, or as the Americans say, paint scheme, Marlboro Alfa Romeo, and it's a father-son.
Let me just give you a confirmation of the result then. Lewis Cooper Jr. wins in the 9 boss class. In the 72 class, James Farley in the Lola 298 wins. Dave Handy is 3rd overall. Steve Conson, then Gary Johnson, Brent Knoll, Gary Gould, and David Yans was the man in that Arve Riley AR2 that went off and caused one of the safety car incidents and a few cars coming back to the pits. But that concludes our Group 5, 7, 9, and 11. My thanks to Dustin Hodges joining us and sprinting over from the pit lane and picking up where he left off yesterday. Thanks for joining us,
Guys,
Dustin.
thanks for having me, and you know, I'll see you in a few months in Sebring.
Absolutely. Gosh,
All right, Dustin, thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back from Road Atlanta in a moment.
When the finish line calls.